If you're a fan of finishes, then the UFC Fight Night in Sydney, Australia was a good card. 11 for 11. None of these fights went the distance. If you're a Fight Pass subscriber, you got your money's worth. You couldn't really ask for anything more. Actually, I suppose you could, but you wouldn't get anything more than that. In the main event, a head kick was the beginning of the end for Michael the Count Bisping. He went down to the ground. Luke Rockhold jumped on, went for a guillotine, flipped him over, actually got it from the mount on top. So Luke Rockhold finishes the fight, and the War of Words finally comes to an end. But not before Michael Bisping says in the post-fight interview, "You gotta respect the mother blank." And of course, Dan Hardy apologizes for any foul language that might have offended people, but I wasn't offended by that. And Bisping said, you know, whether or not I like the guy, you have to respect what he accomplished, and I'm not going anywhere, I'll be back. For his part, Luke Rockhold said, all respect to Zachrich, but I've already beaten him once and I'll do it again. I'm the #1 contender, I'll prove it, and I'll fight anybody, anywhere. So he seems to be teasing a fight with Zachrich Souza, but he's also happy to take a fight with anybody else. So hey, he gets an impressive win over a fellow top 10 fighter. And now, Bisping, he says he's not going anywhere, but he's probably going down a couple of spots in the rankings. Then, in the co-main event, Iaquinta scores the upset over Ross Pearson with a TKO at 1:39 of the second round. And he was, actually, in my opinion, he was doing better in the first round. It was a pretty close round, but in the second round, that counter right hand that he'd been landing most of the fight finally just put Pearson in a world of hurt. He was in trouble. He was a standing zombie. He was wobbling. Then he got caught with an uppercut. And when he went to his knees, the ref was there to wave it off. So Iaquinta gets the big upset. Throws the shout out to Sarah and Longo. Chris Weidman is jumping up and down in the crowd. He's so excited for his friend. It was a good win for Iaquinta. And his promo afterward was even better. He promised that he was going to put Jaws in a camel clutch, suplex a kangaroo, and humble the lightweight division. In our second fight on the main card, Robert Whittaker beat Clint Hester TKO at 2:43 of the second round with knees and punches. He finished him off, and I'd say this is another upset. And Whittaker took his first fight at middleweight in UFC and did well. Clint Hester was the favorite going in. But Whittaker's, he showed his striking strength in this one. He was the better puncher, and Clint Hester's only response to it was to throw wild bombs and go for takedowns that he wasn't getting, and Whittaker just beat him up on the feet. So a very impressive win for Whittaker. Now, in the heavyweight fight, Walt Harris actually got the better of Palelei in the first round, but that didn't last because the power the Hulk has in those hands. So in the second round, it finally caught up to Walt Harris, and he got TKO'd at 4:49 with just 11 seconds left to go. So Palelei got the finish. And poor Dan Hardy tried to interview him, and all Palelei wanted to do was, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. And then he started singing, I'm so in love with you. He just really didn't want to do an interview. He just did his own thing. Then we had the prelims, and as noted, none of these fights went the distance. Jake Matthews beat Vagner Rocha with a rear naked choke. When Rocha didn't tap out, he went out cold. 152 of the second round. Anthony Perosh beat Guto Inocente at light heavyweight with a rear naked choke, 3:46 of the first round. Smiling Sam Alvey beat Dylan Andrews with a knockout blow at 2:16 of the first round. And I believe Andrews actually knocked himself loopy before the finishing blow because he was trying to throw Alvey. He was doing a back suplex, grabbed his back and was throwing it backwards, but Alvey caught the leg, hooked it with his foot, and I think that he tripped up Andrews as he was going for the throw, and Andrews landed on his head, knocked himself woozy, and Alvey quickly jumped on, capitalized, and finished him. So you got to give props to Sam Alvey for that. Louis Smolka defeated Richie Vaculik. Unfortunate because the crowd was really into Vaculik, but that's the way it goes sometimes. This was actually the longest fight. I thought Vaculik actually won the first 2 rounds, but once you get the TKO, that's all she wrote. Chris Clements defeated Vic Grujic, 4:06 of the first round. Daniel Kelly beat Luke Zachrich with a kimura at 4:27 of the first round. And in the opener, Marcus Brimage defeated Jumabieke Tuerxun by head kick knockout at 2:58 of the first round. That's UFC Fight Night 55 from Sydney, Australia.